actually purposely like haven't watched any reality TV in about 15 years. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Were you quite into it before you went into Big Brother?
I was really. I used to go on the Big Brother's Big Mouth.
Oh, yeah.
I think they just thought that was quite weird that I was so into it, but I just found it really fascinating.
No,
I still kind of think it is. It kind of, I think back then, the roles weren't so defined. So now people go in there and they're following a kind of trodden path with like what the character they want and what they want out of it, and they kind of have a sense of what is waiting for them, afterwards. But when I went in and before that, it all was completely unknown, and it really was like watching. Anything could happen, and no one. Think about Pete Burns on there and stuff. It's like it was completely unpredictable. Whereas now it almost feels like it's, if there's like something's sort of programmed by computer to respond a certain way to, what do you call that, like
algorithm.
Yeah, like an algorithm to it of how the people are going to react, and they find their personality traits and they try and purposefully do something that's just about on the boundary of decency and all. So I kind of think it can only be real for a very limited amount of time, and I think that was a really interesting time for reality TV. Was around sort of early 2000s, and now I just think it's now just trash.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I definitely do still watch them with my girlfriend, to be fair, but
yeah, well, I do. I have Hulu, and I do quite like. I like My £600 Life, and I like the one My 90 Day Fiance is really good as well. Have you ever watched that?
Yeah. Oh, well,
have you watched the one, the Big Ed with the massive neck?
Yeah, we watched that. Me and my mates. We started. Well, I saw loads of like memes about him and stuff. So I started watching it on YouTube. Yeah.
Horrible guy. Horrible.
Yeah. I mean, that program's so odd. Yeah.
So mean. And she's really sweet. She's like blown up on Instagram now.
Oh, really?
She's like a girlfriend now, and she's like just absolutely living her best life in LA or something. So like,
that's it. Because they were proper. It's like poverty she was living in, wasn't it?
Yeah, really. And he was so disgusted with it, just like really fucking horrible behavior, but amazing TV. I like Intervention a lot as well. That's kind of reality, but maybe a bit serious. But
I don't think I've seen
the stories of them are always really, I had this really bad accident and ended up being hooked on Oxy. Like a couple of years ago, and it was so hard to get off that. It was fucking awful. I was shivering and vomiting, and like I just had to go cold turkey. And now I really sympathise with like addicts. And so I watched the Intervention, and you see how easy the transition from not addicted to heroin to absolutely hopelessly addicted to heroin. The transition is so easy and so relatable, and it's not something that is like completely like it could fucking happen to anyone. Honestly, it could happen to like someone's mum. It could happen to. So I do really like to watch that. And then then when you see like if you see someone who's like homeless or something, who's obviously got addiction problems, it's like completely you see it in such a different light. It's really like I just finished reading this book called Cherry by Nico Walker, I think his name is, and it's kind of I think I read a review that called it the first masterpiece about the opioid crisis.
Right.
And this guy wrote the book from prison because he had done all these bank robberies in order to pay for his massive heroin addiction, which he got because he was in the war in Afghanistan and just had a fucked up time there, and then came back and was had PTSD and became a heroin addict. But it's written in such a kind of conversational, really relatable way. It's such a great book. I really, really, really recommend I can't really remember why we're talking about heroin now.
Yeah, I've seen a few documentaries about, like you said, the opioid crisis. So, like with you were taking the prescribed amount, but you still found it hard to come off, kind of thing.
Well, I was I was taking the prescribed amount, but then I sort of managed to like get multiple doctors, and it takes over your mind in a really weird way, where you're just like, you honestly just don't give a fuck about anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm really like, I'm not like a druggy guy at all. In fact, I smoked weed like maybe like a year ago, and then I had to go and lie in my friend's bed, and I looked at my phone afterwards, and I just Googled like, "Can you die from weed?" It was the last thing that I Googled, like an absolute whitey. So yeah, really, I'm really like not that guy. So but yeah, but I just I don't know, it just hooked me instantly.
Yeah,
really. But I was on it for 6 months because I really fucked up my I had like a bunch of broken bones and shattered pelvis and stuff.
Yeah, what happened? Did you have a fall or something?
Yeah, I fell out of a balcony.
Oh shit! Right.
Yeah. I was in a wheelchair for like 6 months. It was an incredibly weird time in my life.
All right.
All of these times, it's really weird looking back and think, isn't it strange how you're so adaptive to whatever situation you're in. Even if I think of like all the Big Brother shit and being famous and stuff, like that's fucking mental. But it just happens, and you're just like, yeah, I guess like paparazzi's chase me now, and you're just like, yeah, fine. Or being in the band, you're just like, I guess I go on Top of the Pops quite a lot, that stuff like that. And then even living in Philadelphia for that long, it's just like, I guess I'm someone who just lives in Philadelphia now, or like, even what I do now, songwriting. I'm just like, yeah, I guess I just like write songs for Liam Payne now. Do you know what I mean? It's so weird how. And it's the same with bad stuff. You're just like, yeah, I guess my legs are broken now. And it's just really weird how, I think once you've spent like a couple of days in whatever the new situation is, your body and your mind, you just manage to accept so much stuff. I think it's fucking amazing.
Yeah. You seem quite philosophical at the time about all this celebrity stuff after Big Brother. I mean, I was watching a interview you did with Jonathan Ross, and you were kind of like, you weren't bothered about it. You're like, oh, we were like next week's chip paper kind of thing. Is that kind of the attitude you had?
Yeah, I didn't like. I don't want to be like a full-time celeb. It's just not what I couldn't do that. You have to be like Peter Andre or something if you want to do that. You have to like homogenize yourself, or like you have to put Vaseline on the lens of everything you do. And I also have quite an offensive sense of humor, and like I'm just not that guy at all. So, but when the opportunity was there, I was just like, this will be like quite funny, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was quite funny for a little bit. It was also a fucking nightmare, honestly, but it was also brilliant.